Dr. Wale, now I am, well, we are back. We are back in line.
Oh, all right. Well, the long weekend.
Well, yeah, I think that is what comes with a lot of eating and chilling. And that thing that you, what did you call it? What day was that when you do nothing? Absolutely.
It's called Nixon.
Nixon Day.
It's, yes,
Come back to
the day
work.
where you refresh.
Sorry?
Don't worry, I'll refresh your brain, but I will do a whole thing on that. We can dedicate one morning to that. Today we want to, you
Declutter.
know, and where we are today, we have built all the way to get here when we talked about habits, because everybody will reap the harvest of their habits. And we talked about habits being what have ushered some to greatness, what have made some fall. You are what you have a habit of doing. And if you have a habit of putting things off, you are a procrastinator. And people who, when we talk of procrastination, it also has to do with management of time. If you're not faithful with other people's time, you will always be under pressure for time. In fact, in some cultures, they believe that a path that does not value your time does not value your life, because time is life.
Yes.
Time is money.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a study I came across. I read it in one book. And it says, out of what this was some US Department of Health thing, out of 100 people, they tracked these guys from the time they were 20 till the time they were 65. And what they discovered, that out of every 100, one was wealthy, four were well off, five were still working because they had to, 54 were living on family or government support, 36 were dead. So my question to young people in this country is, at 65, where do you want to be? The answer is being decided by you right now. Clutter is the new procrastination. Everyone's clutter is in their head. These are the things that have not yet made it out of the head. And a lot of stress is clutter inspired. Have you thought of it? Nobody ever stresses over what is working. Stress happens when there's a disconnect between expectation and experience. When you have so many things accumulating in your head that need to be done, that have not been done, that is what forms clutter. And that is where the stress comes from. So I want everybody to think of all the things in your head right now calling for your attention. Think about them. You see, your daily routine might be some form of distraction from the clutter of your life, but one way to know what is eating you up is to identify what you think about unconsciously. What do you catch yourself thinking about? All right? These
Yes.
are the stuff that are there. They are there to torment you. Remember, all these things are in your head. So it is imperative everybody should become aware. We are aware of our conscious thoughts, but it is important to actually be aware of your unconscious thoughts, because those are the things stressing you. And the first thing that needs to happen in the decluttering journey, it sounds so simple, is to actually get this stuff out of your head. When I say get it out of your head, you can either write it down. I have my black book here where I am writing for years, where identify the things, these unconscious thoughts, these things that keep you awake, begin to write them out. You can write them in a book. or type them in your phone or whatever. I kind of like writing because it forces my brain to engage on a different level. All right? Writing. And when I do that, many times when you write out your worries, a huge relief actually comes from that because it's the very first step. And perhaps this is why even the Bible says, write down the vision. You see, writing it down helps you to articulate it in words. Many people have issues right now. They really don't know what the root or what the real issue is. And as such, they are not able to articulate them. When you write it, it forces you to think. And that is the point where some people will discover that what they thought was the problem is not actually the problem, but the effect of the problem. Writing helps you to think deeper, to get to the root. And when you begin this process of getting the stuff out of your head, you need to be very brutally honest with yourself. You need to be very objective because the worst kind of deception is self-deception. Now, when you get the clutter out, you need to be very objective. Now, let me give a simple example. Maybe somebody is watching now and what is stressing them is you think your boss is the problem. Okay? So every day you go to bed thinking about what a horrible boss you have. Now, writing down, then you now ask, okay, why is my boss this crazy person? What does my boss complain about the most? You need to look inwards. Now, maybe as you begin to do that, you discover that maybe you are not good at meeting your targets. Maybe it will force you to look inwards. My position on life, which some think is probably extreme, but I will tell you, anytime something is not going right, the first person I blame is myself. Because when I do that, it forces me to take responsibility. Africans are so superstitious, rather than take responsibility, will blame the devil. And what that does,
Yes.
take responsibility. So when I write these things out and I realize, oh my goodness, the problem is actually my management of my time. You see, and this is why you need to get it out of your head. So you have been stressing about something that you could fix. And I think this is very, very important. So whatever area it is, make sure the first thing is to get it out of your head. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about how we now prioritize and articulate all those things we bring out of our head. And the objective is we must be able to make sense out of the nonsense in our head.
Absolutely, Wale. And just listening to you when you kept saying, if anybody's watching right now, can they just think about those moments where they had all these thoughts in their heads? And I was just thinking about myself. And there's a time I couldn't sleep because I felt like every time I closed my eyes, there were just flashes of things that need to be done, things I haven't done, things that are not going right. And if probably I'd just written down everything else at that point, because what then happens is I don't have a good night's sleep. Then I have to wake up very early and come to the show, and I have to smile and be beautiful here, talking to Wale and sound sensible. So you see, then it doesn't work. because now I didn't have a good night's sleep. Now I have something else to worry about the next day. So it continues to add up. By the time it gets to 5 p.m. and I'm leaving the office, I am cranky. I have argued with a lot of people in the office because I can't seem to see behind this fog of things just running across my head.
Yes, and you see, as long as they are in your head, you may not be able to come up with a solution because there are so many things clamoring for that attention in your head. But once you bring it out, you get it out of your head. Just the act of bringing it out gives you some level of psychological relief because it is out there. I have found out that a lot of what we call a bad day is clutter going crazy. A lot of what we call a bad day, you find out that, think of it, something that makes you mad on Monday, if it happened 2 weeks ago, you won't have had a problem with it. Why? Because the circumstances are different. So I need to develop, and this is what I've done with myself. And that's why the first person I blame is myself. It serves as a sort of mental thermostat, okay, that will keep me in mental balance, and also it serves as a form of control that I am not that weakling that's going to hand over control to somebody else. Because you see, whoever I keep blaming for my problems is in control of my life. I wish there was a better way to say that, but it is the truth. Whoever I keep blaming is in control of my life. So I have learned to take my life back and get on the driver's seat. And I'm not looking for, Mukali, I'm not looking for everybody to be happy. I don't want to please everybody. It's not worth it. Because look, even if you lie flat on the ground for people to walk on your back, somebody will still tell you your back is not straight enough. So there's no point in pleasing the world at the expense of my own happiness. It's better to be disliked for who you are than to be liked for who you are not. I've learned that if I want to conduct an orchestra, I must be ready to turn my back on the crowd. I have to be happy. It's my life. And so I have to live it fully. This is not a rehearsal. This is the real thing. So I am going to take the blame because I want to be in control. Now, later on, when I bring it, I found out that, okay, maybe that didn't work because somebody else had a bad day. Then my question is, what am I doing with that person who had a bad day? You understand? I must always bring the blame back to myself. Part of my challenge with Africa is that we blame colonialism, we blame all sorts of things, and then when we find no one else to blame, we blame the devil. I think we should grow out of that. When we take responsibility, we will fix our problems. After all, there are other countries that had the same kind of colonial issues we had. They got over it and they moved on. So what's wrong with us? And you see, as long as you have someone to blame, even if it is the devil, you are consolidating mediocrity, because that means you won't take charge. I dare say, if Africans did not have a devil to blame for things, we would be better off today than we are.
That's true. Does the devil come with witchcraft? It comes in second. Oh my God, Wale. It is so true. And if you're watching this show today and you haven't gotten anything else from this, maybe you were talking a bit too fast, maybe you just came in. Take note. to write down all the things that you feel you keep complaining about every single day. Just write that down, because tomorrow, Wale, you're saying you're going to do what with these thoughts?
We're going to show you how to prioritize and articulate properly.
Okay.
Yes, and how to get out of the mumu zone.
There you have it. Couldn't have said it any better. Thank you, Dr. Wale. Let's do this all over again tomorrow. Remember to catch us very early. That is at exactly 8 a.m. Usibanduke. Social media handles, Wale, as we let you go.
Twitter at and Facebook, The Street University.
Absolutely. We're taking a very short commercial break. We will be right back. Asante sana, Dr. Wale.